I just had one last thought I felt I should add. Like the yin and the yang, there's good and bad in both sides, left and right. Obviously, and as you move farther on these extremes, you actually become basically the same thing. And I think there's definitely a theme of order and fashion that appeals to, there's a broad stereotype that's universal throughout the world. And that's okay, and that's good. Men should listen. Like for me, I get a hit of dopamine, okay, by saying things affirmatively. I draw a red line. I will not be enslaved. Okay, I will fight, and I will fight for anybody's freedom till the day as I die. I make that thing now. I put this on YouTube now, and so it's out there. I truthfully will always tell the truth to the best of my ability, and will work for other people. And we'll work towards the benefit of other people and to making other lives and other people's generations better. We are a caretaker as a people. That is what we are on this world. That is what God intended for us to be. And that just doesn't mean don't have kids and don't no. I just mean we're United States is a superpower, okay? And we all affect the United States too. So in some sense, we're a part of it. If you think you're a part of it, you're a part of it. And so we need this to continue because humanity, like here's the tough part about climate change is that the third world, forgive my poor wording, but there's not really any better wording. We've run out of wording. The third world, it's going to take time for them to develop. It's just not going to happen overnight. Ask the leaders in the UN, their own leaders that they've sent here. It's going to take time. And so we need, but luckily, these sort of superpower empires have ruled for almost 1,000 years, and so we'll see how long the American one. Maybe it's only 100. Maybe 2045 is what we got till. I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of this means anything. Truthfully, I think it means. I think it doesn't mean anything in a real practical sense. We think it does, but. That's not how to solve the answer to this equation, right? Like, we always look at the world, through our eyes, outside in. And the whole world stares at us, and looking, at a panopticon, looking it in at us. And so, and America will wake up to this. They've already been through Afghanistan. They pulled that out. So the American empire is over. No, it was never really an empire, but whatever. And so, no, they're a maritime continental empire. That's what they are. And so, and that's keeping everything together. And so that's okay. Where I was going with this is that, information could be controlled to not really control, because see, that doesn't work. If people sense that, and they'll reject it. And so, it has to be done on their own. And so the best way to do that is, well, how do you do that then? Because in some sense, power isn't always used for bad. Sometimes it can be used for good too. Power is just a thing. And so, if power is just a thing, then what do you do with it? It comes with great responsibility. And so the great responsibility is to set up institutions so that when people have problems, they can settle their problems with the institutions and not each other. That's really it. That is the whole global world humanity project. That is it. You want to know how to prevent World War III? Never let the world go to war with each other again. How do you do that? Okay, well, make it a nation state. Make every country have a nation state. Pretty simple. There's more to that, for sure. But, yeah. Is it more complicated than that? Is it technocratic? Blah, 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 blah. The honest answer is no. Occam's razor. It's a great thing to use because, the simplest explanation is oftentimes the true one if you don't know the answer. And, let's think about it for a second. A contrived plan of all this is far too elaborate. That's so simple, in all honesty. wars are fought by people. They're massive undertakings, and so they're won by those people. The generals are just people we look at to kind of symbolize and embody it. But the point is that World War III has been fought and is done. It's over. It's over. I mean, so the next wars we fight, Albert Einstein had a good quote about, he doesn't know which one we fight, but the next one we fight with sticks and stones. It's a great quote. I think a lot of people take it literally. I think it can also be interpreted as tribally, ethnically. I mean, it could also be looked at in the sense of, we through borders and through rules is how we fight. And I would say that's good. I would say that's good. Does it mean bad things can happen still? Of course. But having a justice system where it's not a kangaroo court and there's some time allowed for other people to hear about what's going on, and for it to be public, and for also to, you have the right to face your accuser. Like, these sort of rights, they didn't come about elaborately. No one was planning it, but, well, they were planning it. They were working towards it. But my point is, they didn't have an idea what it looked like in the end, right? But we do have an idea how the past looked like. And so that's the same thing going on right now with me, but with everybody, is that we're staring at the world around us today, trying to understand it. But then we're staring at the past and then trying to make it fit to what we just looked at the past. And let's be honest, that's never going to work. It's not going to work. It's just not how the world is. It doesn't work that way. How to make it work another way? Education. And honestly, how do you do that? Educate the populations. Because if they can't even educate enough to talk with you, how's it going to work? It's not that the British Empire was more successful or nicer or anything like this. But they did train barristers. They did set up institutions, right? And that's what benefited them. And it's what's benefited the English-speaking world today. Because you got to remember, Great Britain didn't leave its empire with a war. It left through negotiation. And so, what's my point? Well, my point is really, you got to remember that today, in our world, I mean, listen, I've watched Trump from the moment he started to run for office. I've watched him, and he's not a fascist. That's not the strike I get. I get the sense that he's a politician at heart, but I think he believes in what he's doing, to a degree. And whether he gets elected or not again, I don't know. Now, if he decides to stay, then yes, he's a dictator by definition, easy one to win. However, I don't think that's what's going to happen. And it's very interesting stuff. But that's why educating people is going to be the key to all this. And I think Canadians need to understand that. There is an imperative nature to all this. Because you might go, okay, well, how... You might then disregard the past because it can't help us necessarily see the future. Yeah, but you forget why we even built any of this. You disregard it as if it's not important. Do you even know if it's important? Have you heard anything about it? Have you heard the arguments for it? And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do as a Canadian. As a conservative, as a Canadian, I want to put that forward. Because I don't think that exists here in Canada. And I don't think it exists within the Conservative Party. And I don't think Canadians have fully grasped our role and responsibility on the world. We're the backup. In case America isn't playing their role, we have to step up. We have zero choice in this. I don't know. I think about it a lot, and I go, well, should I move? What should I do? And, I'm going to let go. I'm going to keep making YouTube videos and sharing my opinion and talking. just trying to work stuff out, and trying to get to what we should do here. What is the way forward for us? What is the way forward for our nation? What is the way forward for our people? All Canadians, every Canadian. My girlfriend's dad came here from Ethiopia fleeing the communists, and I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for it. But we all have a duty and a responsibility to stand up, to tell the truth, to be kind to one another, to help build up our communities, because they're being torn down. They are. Because, see, people can buy you off. It does exist. It does exist. There are people out there who would like you to stay quiet, but there are people out there who don't. And I think you should continue. Well, not even continue, but speak the truth. Speak the truth. Just don't lie. And if you do that, it will work out okay. Because what's the real tragedy of communism? It's, the murders, yes, but it's that everyone was lying. The whole system was a fraud. Everyone would take more and report that they need less, and more too much and use too much. You get what I'm saying? It was a scam, a whole scam system, and that's what they're doing, and that's what happened there, and it broke the system, and so. And to keep an open mind, because what's the beauty of World War II? The beauty of World War II is to set the stage for our current world. And the current world, wars aren't fought with they're not fought with sticks or they're not fought with guns and bullets. They're fought with words. Like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Right. Albert Einstein was referring to words. And so it's a war of information. It's a war of truth versus lies. And I'm on the side of truth. I always will be. And if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself and atone for that. I will. But America and Canada and all of North and South America, it's about a second chance. It's about a second chance. And I think there is something generational about this and a cycle to this. But of course there is. People work in cycles. Oh my. Oh my. Well, don't worry. It'll all be alright. Truthfully. It will. Because honestly, even if it wasn't going to be alright, what would be more glorious than to fight for your freedom? Nothing. Nothing at all. And so I want people to know that, well, then the costs are too high. And so we can't fight each other on ethnic and tribal differences. The costs are too high. And so you want to win? You want your win with ideas. That's it now. The rules of the game have been set. It's just whether you want to even recognize that there are rules now.